Welcome to Lighting for Profits, presented by Emery Allen, with your host, Ryan Lee, your number one source for all things landscape lighting. From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing, we discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
Hey. What's going on, landscape lighting world? Welcome to the number one landscape lighting show in the world, Lighting for Profits. We are here, presented by Emery Allen. You're live on Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station, live on Facebook, YouTube, and of course, all podcasting networks. I don't know if we're on all of them, but we're on all the main ones. I know that. Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon, all the cool ones where all the cool kids hang out. I want to thank you guys for showing up every single week. Thank you for your support. This could not be a thing without you. So super grateful for all that. And honestly, like, this is so fun. I get a lot of positive messages throughout the week. So thank you guys for reaching out to me and keeping me motivated, even though I'm here to help you get motivated, right? So came up with my new tagline, here to educate and motivate to help you dominate. But what's cool about the lighting community is, for the most part, everyone's super nice, very helpful, very friendly, and encouraging as well. So thank you guys for reaching out to me and all your personal messages and stuff. It's much appreciated. So today's going to be a great show. Coming up to Christmas in less than 2 weeks. So that's exciting. But today, I've got a friend, a client, a associate. This guy's awesome. His name is Ryan Edrington. And yes, I like him because his name's Ryan, of course. His mother had good taste. But Ryan Edrington owns Xcellent Xteriors. And this guy is a total stud. You're gonna fall in love with him immediately. He's doing all the right things, making all the right moves. And so I thought, you know what? I got to get him on my show so that he can hopefully share some of his secrets and some of the things that he's done right. Hopefully he'll share some of the things that he's done wrong as well. But man, this guy is on track to do some serious, amazing things in the lighting industry. And so I'm excited to have him on. So we're going to be talking about his journey in starting a lighting business. And he's actually not that far in, but he's already done some amazing things. And so I'm excited. So, you know, a lot of people have asked me recently, like, you know, they're looking to get into the lighting industry, and it's like, you know, how much do I spend to get started, and how much should I spend on advertising, and who do I hire, and when do I hire, and stuff like that. So let me just give you kind of a breakdown of what I did, and your journey might look a little bit different because of what your strengths and weaknesses are. But let me tell you a little bit about what I did. So when we first started, my brother and I, it was just us, right? And so we kind of went out and sold the job together, and then we go install it together. But it literally, like, the very first install, I was like, yeah, this is fun, but not really. I didn't love installing landscape lights. So I knew immediately I wanted to get some installers so that I could focus on what I enjoyed doing, which was the sales, the marketing. You know, I liked growing the business. I didn't necessarily love installing. And so we hired two guys, and they were awesome. They were great. And we knew immediately that if we, one, we knew that we didn't have enough work to keep them busy full time. But we also knew if we didn't pay them that they were going to go get another job somewhere else. And so we put them on a salary, and literally, like, we only had 2-3 days of work max for them. And I was trying to stay ahead of them with sales and stuff like that, but we didn't have money for marketing and advertising and all that. So it was like knocking doors and just doing, like, you know, guerrilla marketing stuff. And so literally we would take them to, like, after work, you know, after we finished on Wednesday, then Thursday was like, hey, meet me in my house. We'll mow my lawn, wash my truck, and then go to my brother's house and mow his lawn and wash his truck. We painted my house. We did all sorts of, like, projects around the house, built a dog house one time for my dog. We just tried to do everything we could to keep these guys busy, clean the shop, you know, detail the truck. Like, you can only do so much, but it worked out because we kept them happy. And they stuck around, and then it allowed me some time to really focus on sales. And then we got ahead of it. Right. So then instead of selling 2 jobs a week, it was 3, and then 4, and then 5. And then before you know it, we're booked out a week and 2, and that goes from there. So once I had these guys hired as installers, then I was kind of like the maintenance guy. So this was back in the halogen days. There was a little bit more maintenance to be done, service calls of like lights out and stuff like that. So I'd run around and replace bulbs and climb trees and get those done, and everything else. Not too hard, but it did take up time. And so I was trying to do that along with sales, answering the phones, purchasing materials and staging the jobs and stuff like that. So still was overwhelmed. And I think I've shared this on here before, but I remember missing this phone call one time. Well, I missed a lot of phone calls, but this one, I called the lady back and she said, "Oh, no, we're good. We already got a hold of someone else." And I was just like stunned that she would not schedule an appointment with me. And it really was, that was my like light bulb moment. That was my epiphany. It's like, oh man, I got to get someone hired. And I knew I had to get someone hired, but that was where I was like, man, I potentially just lost a $5,000 job. And I started doing the math of like all the potentially $5,000 jobs I lost just because I couldn't answer the phone, right? So I hired an office manager, hired someone to answer the phones. And I was scared to do that because I'm like, man, we're going to pay her 30 grand a year. That's going to come out of my pocket. Like, how am I going to make this work and pay my mortgage? And it was stressful, right? And I didn't think that I had enough stuff for her to do. But honestly, it was like the very first day, maybe the second day, we were putting a list of all the stuff she had to do. And she felt overwhelmed of all the stuff she had to do just for that one position. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing that plus sales, plus maintenance, plus all this other stuff. So you'd be surprised how much you guys are doing that you can offload to somebody else. So that was a relief. And then after I got her on board, I still was like, man, now we're hiring more installers and I'm having a hard time staying ahead of sales and even following up with people. So decided to hire a salesperson, which turned into 2 salespeople. And what's crazy is even after I had hired people, I still didn't know that I didn't have to work in the business. I thought that was like I thought that I was still supposed to like work side by side the employees and stuff like that. No one ever really told me that I could just be an owner. Like I literally thought, well, I got to go do sales and I got to go do this and everything else. And I felt like that pull toward it. No one gave me permission. So today I'm giving you guys permission. I'm giving you permission to be an owner. You don't have to be an operator the rest of your life. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. But if you want that permission, I'm giving you that permission today. And I would say this, that was my journey. You might decide, you know what, I'm not very good at sales. So my first, I don't mind the installs and stuff like that. So maybe your first hire is going to be a salesperson, right? I would say this, hire your weakness, but be careful because you don't want to hire your weakness just because you're not good at it. And then you don't really know, like if someone else is good at it either, because you never really mastered it. So if you do hire your weakness, which is what I did, make sure you hire someone or you get them with someone who's able to train them. Or you need to be able to train them, right? So if it is sales or if it's installs, whatever it is, you still have to kind of know a little bit about what they're doing so that you know how to hold them accountable for it and put in some measurable KPIs to make sure that they are doing a good job. So don't just hire someone if you're not good at sales and be like, oh, I'll hire them. And then like, you don't really know if they're good. You still want to kind of learn that craft a little bit, or send them to a sales school, get them some training, get them some books, get them the resources they need to be successful in that role. So that's what I would say. So that was why I just kind of did it in that order, because my strength was sales. And, even when I hired my first salesperson, I was just like, why would I do that? Like, I believed the lies that all my clients had told me. They had told me stuff like, well, we really like you. And we like the fact that the owner's here and stuff like that. And I thought that meant that, if I hired a salesperson, that somehow our sales would go down because they liked me, and I thought I was special. But honestly, it's so crazy. I remember hiring my very first sales guy, and I didn't really know what I was looking for in a salesperson. So I just reached out to other friends and business owners and stuff like that. And a guy I worked with, he was a pool builder. He referred me I think it was his brother-in-law. Pretty sure it was his brother-in-law. Yeah, it was his brother-in-law. And the guy was super personable, but he had no sales experience, no lighting experience. I mean, how often do you find someone that has lighting experience? But he had neither, but he was super personable. And I was like, man, I could train this guy. Like, he's got good stuff in him. Right. And so, I put together this kind of like basic, slide show type thing on an iPad. and showed him how to use the photo galleries and stuff like that, which I already had. But I made this sales presentation for him kind of because I thought I was doing good at sales. I thought, oh, I remember all this stuff. But I gave him this thing and fully expected him not for it to not work at first, because it was, again, he had never done sales, anything like that. But he goes out on his very first sales appointment. It was to a town called Rockwall, which is a little over an hour away from our office. And Rockwall was great. So it wasn't like I was setting him up for failure, but it was just too far away from me. I was like, you know what? I'll let him go out there. If he doesn't get it, I don't care, because we're not really trying to grow our business out there. And, big deal. So we took a look at the house first and everything and showed him how many lights it would be, and, kind of told him what it would cost and stuff like that. And he's like, well, what if the lady asked me, like, how long I've been doing this? And I'm like, well, we're not liars. So just, tell her the truth, but don't worry, she's not going to ask you that. So he goes out and meets with her and goes over everything and totals it up. It's a $6,000 job. And he presents it and goes over just the slides. He's just like going through this iPad presentation. He's just reading what it says on there, basically. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. And the lady goes, all right, sounds good, let's do it. And he's like, what? Like, are you kidding me? And she cuts him a check for half, gives him a check for $3,000. His very first sales appointment. Didn't know anything about lighting. This was like after his first day of training, and never had even done sales before. And so everything's great. He's like stoked, right? And then they're kind of walking around, still talking. They'd built some rapport. And the lady, before he leaves, is like, man, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to this. She's like, how long have you been doing this? And he could not believe the fact that she asked that, because that was like his biggest fear. And I was like, she's never going to ask that. So he's like, yeah, it's actually my first day. And she's like, there's no way this is not your first day. And they kind of laughed, but she's like, no, that's fine. I still kind of don't believe it is. You guys have good reviews. She's like, well, no, they've been around a long time, but this is my first day. She's like, well, tell your bosses you deserve a raise, because you're already killing it. So the reason I share that story is because up until that moment, I thought I was special. I thought I was something different. I thought I was like really good at sales, and like I had believed these lies that my customers had told me about how special I was. And I really wasn't that special. This guy comes in, closes his very first job, and the rest is history. So that gave me the confidence, at least, that because I'm not that special, that I could hire my replacement, that I could hire more salespeople, and they could succeed, and I wouldn't have to do everything. So that was an important moment in my life and in my business career, for sure. So that's why I'm excited to have our guest today. I told you it's going to be Ryan Edrington, and he is here. So what we're going to do is take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to have him on and talk about how his journey's going. Like I said, he's new into the lighting world, but not new into the business world. So we're going to find out some of his hacks, some of the things that he has found to help him get such a fast start into the lighting industry. So stick around. We'll be right back.
There's more to landscape lighting than just throwing a fixture under a tree. The best display is one that was not only designed well, but also stands the test of time. High-quality fixtures and bulbs are key to long-term success and customer happiness. At Emery Allen, our focus is on creating only the highest performance landscape bulbs in the industry, with long-lasting components that don't degrade or flicker with age. Each bulb's appearance is always consistent throughout your lighting project. We offer a wide range of base types, beam spreads, and color choices that will fit your needs. To learn more, give us a call at 843-480-4473 or email us at info@emeryallen.com.
Hey everybody, this is Hecubus from the Nightcap. I'm just sitting here relaxing within the vault with my friends and a tasty pint. You should stop by and listen in sometime. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, live only on Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Hey, this is Jeff Hester, senior contributor and co-host of the Weekend Review here on Turfs Up Radio. Can't make it to major green industry events, but want to stay connected? Don't worry, we have you covered. Be sure to download the Turfs Up Radio app or visit our website. We'll bring you the live coverage you need to keep you up to date with everything that happens in our industry. And to find out where we'll be next, simply visit greenindustryevents.com. That's greenindustryevents.com. And always remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
All right. Welcome back to the number one landscape lighting show in the world. And I want to welcome our guests. What's up, Mr. Ryan Edrington?
What's going on, buddy? How are you?
Man, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for being here. I know you're busy. New family member, new business, a lot of stuff going on. So thanks, man. Appreciate you being here.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, and hopefully my kids, I just said we have a 16-month-old and a 1-month-old. And I just heard them crying just a moment ago, but hopefully my wife will not let that continue. And
well, honestly, if you need to run off, I'll improvise. So
yeah, no, I think we're good.
So thanks so much for being here. I want to ask you before we get into the lighting stuff. Well, one, I know you served in the military. What branch of the military were you in?
Yeah. So I was in the Marine Corps. I served in infantry and did 2 tours overseas. So yeah, I just did 4 years. Did my 4 years. Contract was up. I decided to get out. But
man, that's awesome though. I seriously, I wanted to bring that to attention and recognize you for that. Thank you for your service. And I mean, you don't look old enough to be able to be in the military, but I still believe you.
I age well. I believe I have a life expectancy close to 200. So yeah.
At least it's like the opposite of dog years.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, thank you for your service, man. I think that's awesome. Anytime I meet someone who served in the military, I want to make a big deal of it because I didn't serve, and it just makes me super grateful. So thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. It was a good time. I always recommend when I'm talking to younger guys or girls, when they don't know, because I knew early that school wasn't for me, but I knew I needed to do something, so I chose the military. So whenever I talk to someone that kind of doesn't know what they want to do with their life, I always try to push them towards the military. It was really kind of the foundation for everything that my life is now. So yeah,
that's awesome. That's cool. Well, let's transition a bit. When did you start your first business?
Well, interesting. So I had quite a few business failures. I did 3 or 4 different ideas that I was trying to turn into a business that just, didn't work out for various reasons. And it was 2012. I was renting a home and I was washing my driveway. My dad had a pressure washer. I was washing my driveway just on a Saturday. Neighbor came out and said, "Hey, I'll give you $20. You want to come wash my driveway?" Okay. And then as I'm doing that next neighbor next to him said the same thing. "Hey, I'll, give you another $20. So, just on a Saturday afternoon, a couple of hours, I made $40. And I was like, is this it? Is this my next thing? Because at that time, I was actually I was going to school for criminal justice. I was using the GI Bill from the military to go to school for criminal justice. I was going to go into Border Patrol. And, but I needed like something part-time. So this is my little part-time thing. And about 2015, when I was real close to actually graduating, I was going to online school. I realized, I was like, wait a minute, my little part-time hustle here is going to pay me more than what I would be doing in my career. So I was like, so that's when I kind of shifted. And 2015 is when I really tell people, that's when I kind of took my business serious. It went from a little part-time hobby to an actual business.
So at that point, did you go all in and you go full-time with it?
I did. 2015. I don't remember the exact date, but yeah, it was 2015. I do know that. That's when I went all in.
Okay. And so that's when you started Xcellent Exteriors and mainly pressure washing, roof washing, stuff like that, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. Started out with just, driveways and houses, and then kept gradually adding, we got into roofs, got into paver sealing, but yeah, still doing that right now. Got my crews out right now. They're washing and paver sealing right now today, as well as doing lighting.
How long did it take you to build that business to where, I guess, two things? One, you got to like the $1 million mark.
Mhm.
And two, when you felt like, hey, this is kind of cool. I don't have to do everything in this business.
It was, so I call it my training business, because I really didn't know that much about business. I knew some, like I'd read some books like Robert Kiyosaki, E-Myth. So I knew some stuff, but I was still very much afraid to give up control. Like I felt like I had to do everything. And that really slowed me down, really kept me from growing. And I did everything in the business for probably the first 2 to 3 years, which was really hard. I mean, it just got to the point where I just could not do it. Like I was kind of forced to hire someone. So I remember I went on a cruise, because it also was like a trap. When I was by myself, I was keeping all the money. So, I mean, I was making pretty good money, and it was like, I was delusional. It was a trap I was in. I thought I was making good money, but the reality was I couldn't keep that up, because I went on a cruise, and when I came back from that cruise, I had missed like 4 or 5 phone calls, and it was, several $1,000s on work, and I had missed it. And I just, that's when it just kind of hit me. I was like, man, I got to get some people. Like, this business needs to be able to operate regardless if I'm here or not. And so that was probably about 2017, 18 when I kind of really had that epiphany, and it just, everything took off from there.
That's awesome, man. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think we all have, at least I know for me, speaking for myself, I had that same thing too, where it was like, man, I'm making good money. I'm living the American dream. Right. But then, yeah, you miss out on opportunities, and you miss this and miss that. And sometimes it's missed opportunities for sales or whatever. For me, I started missing my kids' events and stuff like that. And it was like, man, no, like, this is not the American dream. This is the opposite of the American dream. This sucks. This is like not sustainable. It's like trying to sprint for an entire marathon. It's just really, really hard to do unless you're a really good runner, I guess. But so what was the average ticket that you were dealing with? What is the average ticket in like pressure washing world?
So washing, which we try to be about 750, and we're probably really close. If we're not 750, we're really close to it. Last time I checked, I knew we were right there at 750. So today we got to be very close. I think we're
okay.
But yeah, 750 is what we try to go for our average ticket in washing. Paver sealing is more about 1,1200 for paver sealing. Okay.
And then now I kind of want to talk about, I like that you called it your practice business. Even though, and you're right, like everybody's sometimes first, second, and third businesses are their practice businesses, because you're just learning so much about like stuff that you just didn't know. But what's cool is your practice business is doing really well. But then it was this year, right, where you found out about Christmas lights and landscape lights. Is that right?
Yes. So last year, this time, I really paid attention to Christmas lights in my local area. And because I knew it was something I wanted to do, but I wasn't sure really how to get into it. Because what's interesting here in Florida, Q4, where most of the country slows down, in Florida, it's the busiest time of the year. So it almost is kind of crazy to be like, you're already as the busiest you'll ever be there in that year, and now you're going to add a service on that only operates during that fourth quarter, being Christmas lights. So I knew I wanted to do it. So last year I was paying attention. I didn't really see any competitors. So February I made the decision for sure that we were going to get into Christmas lights. And I went and did some training. I flew out to North Carolina, did some training with Jason Guyman and Donovan at their course. And I didn't really, and at this time, I didn't know anything about landscape lighting. I was just all like, okay, we're going to do Christmas lights. But the thing that I kept going back to, and this is what had held me back in the years prior, was what do I do with this crew that I've now hired, I've trained. When the lights are taken down, do I let them go? And now I got to try to get them back. And that was like this whole mess. I was like, I don't know how to do that. And somehow, I think it was like a Facebook group. I saw that you were going to be, I didn't know who you were, but someone had posted a link to a podcast about you with someone that did Christmas lights and how they keep their guys busy the rest of the year with landscape lighting. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, what the hell is landscape lighting? I didn't even know it was a thing. And, but I was like, okay, I'll listen. And I knew like that first podcast, when I started listening, I was like, this is it. This is my answer. And I mean, that was probably June, I think, is when I discovered landscape lighting.
Yeah, I think it was around June. And I love that for so many reasons, because when I got introduced to landscape lighting, it was the same reaction. What the hell is landscape lighting? Like, people put lights in the ground and light their house and they'll give thousands of dollars. It's just like, what? That doesn't even make sense. But I love it for that. And then obviously I love it because you discovered the landscape lighting through, I think it was the podcast. It was this show right here. Mm-hmm. And you reached out to me, and it was like, it was kind of this weird conversation, because it was like you scheduled through my website and everything. And it was like, yeah, I just heard about landscape lighting. And I listened to like 6 of your podcasts, and I want to start a lighting business. I'm like, serious? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, I think it was like Friday I found out about you. Over the weekend, I listened to every episode you had. And I think it was Monday, I was on the phone with you for that discovery call.
That's so awesome. So obviously 2 things are attractive to you. Well, one was the fact that, well, Christmas lights, you're like, man, this could be a good thing, increase our business. And then you're like, well, that creates a problem, because then how do I keep those guys busy? So obviously that was attractive. Is like, this will help me keep my guys busy. But what has been your experience so far, I guess, with the, you said the average ticket price for pressure washing was like $750, maybe paver sealing $1,100. Now you're into Christmas lights and landscape lights. How much has that average ticket gone up for those services?
Oh, huge. It's definitely, now knowing what I know, like, I'm all on board with lighting. Starting in 2022, which will be our first full calendar year, I've already pivoted to where lighting will be our premier services and everything else will be secondary. So Christmas lights, our very first season, our average ticket is $2,100. Our first few months here in landscape lighting, our average ticket is $4,000.
That's so awesome, man. That is so cool.
Yeah, so it's quickly evolved. I was able to, through washing. So here in Florida, I don't know if this is actually true, but I've always heard this, that there are more washing and paper sealing companies in Florida than the rest of the country combined, which is probably true. I mean, it is just ridiculous how much competition there is. It's like second only to probably lawn care.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. And so to be successful here in Florida, especially in Central Florida, like, you really have to learn business. And so that's really where things started to change for me. I decided I wanted to focus on business and not just be a technician. I wanted to work on the business, not in the business. And yeah, I mean, what was I saying?
No, you're good. Actually, I want to ask you about the details of that, because that's something that I'm super jealous of, that you're just starting your career out, and you're like putting, I guess, me to shame. I look at like my career and I'm like, man, you're already doing all this stuff at such a young age in your business. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, I want to ask you about some of these detailed steps that you've done to do that. Is that all right?
Sounds good.
All right, guys, stick around. We'll be right back with more from Ryan Edrington.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Did you know that nonprofit Project Evergreen has thousands of volunteers across the country ready to help military families with lawn, landscape, and snow removal services? We call it green care and snow care for troops. If you are a military family and would like to receive this free service, or if you'd like to volunteer to help, visit projectevergreen.org. Project Evergreen, creating a greener, healthier, cooler Earth. 1 yard at a time.
Are you tired of working dawn to dusk 7 days a week and still struggling? Working hard isn't your issue. What you need to focus on is the business side of your business. That's where Profits Unlimited comes in. With our 42 years of experience in the industry, we have faced the challenges you are going through. We can help you with bidding, contracts, marketing, selling, and much more. Check us out at profitsrus.com. That's profitsareus.com when you are ready to earn what you deserve. And don't forget, tune into Profit Time at 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Remember, profit is not a dirty word.
Isn't it nice when the weather cooperates and crews complete jobs on time and on budget? But weather can cause delays. And with paper route sheets, jobs get lost in the shuffle. That's why you need Aspire Crew Control scheduling software, an easy-to-use, flexible, and affordable solution that allows you to shift schedules with a single click. Try Aspire Crew Control for free at aspirecrewcontrol.com.
All right, welcome back to Lighting for Profits, presented by Emery Allen. Make sure you go check out emeryallen.com. If you're looking for landscape lighting lamps, they got different color temperatures, they got different colors, red, green, blue, all that stuff. So go check them out. And we are here with Ryan Edrington. Ryan, I want to ask you, I'm not joking when I say I'm super envious of your startup so far, because you've already managed to somehow replace yourself. And you just found out what landscape lighting was in June. I'm like, how the heck is this guy doing this? So I'm hoping you're willing to kind of share some of the behind the scenes stuff on what you're doing. What did you do first when you're like, okay, I had my practice company. Mm-hmm. I know what worked good. I know what I'd like to do different. Now you're like, welcome to the big leagues. This is not practice anymore. I'm going to do this business right. What did you decide to do first when starting your landscape lighting company?
So the first thing I did was buy your course.
Okay, that was not a setup question.
Yeah,
I didn't know you were going to say that.
Yes. Yeah, but it was absolutely true. I think it is really important to know that we would not have the success that we have if it was not for your course. Because, I didn't even know where to begin. Like I said, I didn't even know landscape 4 or 5 months ago. I didn't even know landscape lighting was a thing. So I bought your course. And that's something I think is huge, is investing in education. I spend probably $10,000 to $12,000 a year in education, whether it's courses, going to events. I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to meet the right people. So I think, and investing in education is number one. And I just knew from my other business, the reason because like I said earlier, the reason it kind of took me a few years to really get that scaled up was because I was constantly working in it as opposed to working on it. And so I knew right away that with lighting, I was like, I don't want to create a job for myself. The only way I'm going to do this is if I can work on it, because I don't want to work in it. And so, I got your course. I went through the course myself, so I just had a good knowledge of it. I hired 2 people, 2 technicians, and actually I hired an admin. So I invested in getting employees before we even did our first job. And I had sent them to training as well. So not only did I pay for me to go to training, but I paid for them to go to training. For Christmas lights, actually, I paid for 2 guys to go up to the course, which was in North Carolina. I had to pay for the plane tickets. I paid for the course. I paid for the hotel. Gave them per diem. I had them there paid to be there. I had to have them on payroll to be there. There was a big event in Tampa, which, fortunately Tampa is only about an hour from us, but I had myself and my crew went out there.
Yeah, that was you. And at least you had 3 people down there with yourself.
Correct. Yes. Yep. Yeah. So, that's how I was able to get it up and going so quickly, is I immediately started making the investments in education and getting my employees educated. And, it's made the huge difference. This is kind of crazy, but this is true. I have not done one landscape lighting job I have not done one Christmas light job. I honestly could. I mean, I might be able to help out a little bit, but I'm usually when I show up at the job, I'm there for moral support. I'm showing up to give you a Gatorade, to give you a Red Bull. But if you need some kind of technical assistance, I can't help you. I don't really know.
That's so funny because when I started, I literally had only done like a handful of jobs myself, like installing them, and then we hired these guys, and that's what I would do. I mean, it was so freaking hot in Texas, and it's hot in Florida. I would just like do Gatorade runs and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I just felt like guilty and bad, so I'm like, I got to help these guys how I can, and it's not me with a shovel. I'm just not that helpful with it. So, but here's what I love about that. Like you mentioned the education. Obviously, yes, I'm grateful that you joined my coaching program, but it really is about that. Like, even if you didn't join my coaching program, you would have gone out and like looked where you could get training, like you did with Donovan and Jason. Like you went and got the Christmas light training. You went and did that. You invested in your employees. And I think a lot of people expect to have results like that, but aren't willing to put skin in the game, aren't willing to make those risks. And it was probably easier for you because you already had your practice business and you knew like, okay, this type of risk is worth it. And employees are risky to some people, but not to others. To you and I, we look at it like, no, this is an investment, and investors make money. So that's why I love what you did.
Yeah, in my first business, which I still have, but that's where I was really able to build up my business knowledge and maybe more important, confidence. I had a lot of confidence. I knew I built a business that was very successful in a very saturated market. And I knew like, if I could do that, then I know I can do this. And I remember actually the day, so I found out about you on Friday, listened to all your podcasts. Monday, I called you. Tuesday, I drove out to Garden Light and went out there and met with them. And I even bought my first demo kit. I don't even think at that point I'd even done anything with your course, but I knew I needed this demo kit. And so I was already like making moves without even watching the course, without even knowing how to do landscape lighting.
You hadn't, because I remember you asking questions and I'm like, he clearly has not gone through the content yet.
Yeah, exactly.
But I love it because it's almost like, I mean, it's almost a bad example of taking too much action. Like it is a little risky, right? But those risks paid off huge dividends for you. And so too many of us spend too much time learning and analyzing and creating pro formas and all this other stuff. And it's like, you just went out and took action, and that's action equals success.
I learn, and we did a whole lot of this. This is really how we did everything this year. Was I learned from just doing it. Let's just get out and do it. Like I knew getting into Christmas lights and getting landscape lighting, we needed to move. We needed to move quickly. And I knew we were going to have some mistakes. We're probably going to piss some people off, but at the end of the day, we're going to get that education. We're going to get that experience. And I feel like within these last 4 months, because we really didn't start, we didn't have our first paying customer until September. But now we're going to end this year with slightly over $270,000 in lighting that we've done since September. And the bulk of that was October, November, December.
September, October, November, December. So 4 months, 270 grand.
Yes. Yeah. And September was only like 8,000. I mean, it wasn't much at all. So the majority of this was October, November, December.
Hey, that's so awesome. And I know you've got some, serious expenses. You invested in those employees. You invested in the training, the flights, the hotels, all that stuff. You bought a van.
Bought
a van, wrapped it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At that point, I hadn't even done one. We didn't have a customer yet, but I knew like, this is how I commit. I knew like, if I buy this van, I get this thing wrapped, there is no going back. And so that's what I did.
Well, I think it was, you had the van like early on, because when you went to get some training with Brandon, he's like, who's this guy? He's just started a business. And he's showing up with a nicer van and it's wrapped. And I've been doing this X amount of years or whatever. So it's awesome. Do you have an idea? And maybe you don't want to share. That's okay too. But how much did it cost? How much did it cost to kind of get this thing started up?
Yeah, I mean, it was expensive. Interestingly enough, I am supposed to be having a meeting with my bookkeeper today, Dan Plata from Blue Sky. Supposed to be having a meeting with him to kind of look back at the numbers, see what everything cost. I mean, it wasn't cheap. You know, that was one thing. It's like you can either invest your time or invest your money. And I decided to invest money to make up for that time. And so it wasn't cheap, but I don't know the exact number.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I love what you said there. I mean, you can invest your time or your money. For me, I'm looking at it as an outsider, and it's like, okay, if you made 270 grand, and if you literally spent 270 grand in materials and labor and all this other stuff, and all you did was break even,
Mm-hmm.
now you're in the gravy for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a no-brainer. I think
you
did it 100% right.
Yeah, and when we look at these numbers, if it is that we broke even, I mean, I hope there's profit, but if we broke even, I will not be mad at all, because we really pushed the envelope, especially in Christmas lights. We went very hard. We learned a lot of lessons, and 2022, we're going to crush it. 2022 will absolutely be profitable, but I can only say that with confidence because we really pushed it these last few months. I feel like if I would have not pushed it as hard, I definitely, instead of learning everything in 4 months, maybe it would have took, 8, 12 months to learn it. Whereas now we're ready to go. I mean, we're already got jobs lined up in January for landscape lighting. And matter of fact, we got like 30,000 right now lined up for landscape lighting in January.
That's already sold. You're just waiting to install because of Christmas.
Already sold. Just last week, I went out between 3 jobs. I sold a little over 20,000. It was like $21,000 on three jobs. All of that's for January.
That's awesome, man. What was the lead source on those? Do you remember any of them?
So we do a lot of direct mail. We really do probably 3 main things: Google Ads, social media, being Facebook, and direct mail.
Awesome. Very cool. I want to talk about you actually. I can't remember why. I think it was just because you're like, man, you got to meet these guys. But you invited me to go to the huge convention, which is the big pressure washing convention.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was blown away about the topics they were talking about. There was sales and business and pricing, and obviously I don't know anything about pressure washing, but even the short time that I was there, I was just there one day. I learned a lot myself. I was able to network and meet all these other just giants in the service business world, right? What are some things that you feel like you brought over from the pressure washing industry from your past that has helped you in the lighting business?
Yeah, probably two things that I think we do really well at, and it separates us from so much of our competition is, number one, customer service. I think people really overlook customer service. They might put too much emphasis on the actual technical part of the job and not on customer service. So I remember a while back, this was actually at an event I went to about 4 years ago. Someone got up, he was a real smart guy. He said, there's 3 things you want to do. Number 1, you want to be on time. Okay. Make sure you're on time. Number 2, you need to make sure you do a good job. Okay. So make sure you do a good job. But number 3, most important, is you want to be likable, AKA customer service, because you can be late. You can even not do that good of a job. If you're likable, the other 2 are forgiven. However, if you are late, you don't do a good job, and you're not likable, well, now you're just screwed. So I always took that as, customer service is where we need to, if we're going to overemphasize on something, it's going to be customer service. And it's true. I make sure all my guys, communication, being able to communicate, being able to understand what customer service is, has gotten us out of so many jams with customers. And so we really go hard on that. The other thing where I spend a lot of time on is marketing. Around probably sometime between that 2015, 2018 timeframe, I flipped my thinking, and I went from thinking marketing is an expense to marketing is an investment. And I think just that, just one word, expense, investment, but you just change those words out with each other. And I approached it just totally different. Now I was okay with putting money into, Google Ads. And I understood it's a long-term investment, just like any investment. You're not going to maybe with crypto it's a little different, but other than that, and most any other investment, it's going to take time. It's going to take 6 months, a year, maybe 2 years to really start that going. And if you're just trying to get that quick win with marketing, you're most likely not going to work, and you're going to be constantly going on to that next thing, and nothing's going to work because you're not giving anything enough time.
Yeah. Well said, man. I love it. I mean, someone told me that years ago. It was like, hey, we're in the customer service business. We just happen to do landscape lighting, pressure washing, Christmas lights, whatever you're in. If you treat it as a customer service business, you're going to excel faster and further than anyone else around you because of that.
Absolutely. I don't know anybody that has a 7-figure business that is not very heavy and got the whole customer service side figured out. I know a lot of smaller guys that don't have the customer service figured out. And if you want to stay small, then, I mean, hey, that's okay. But if you're trying to grow, customer service is where it's at.
Well, and I like that point because honestly, some people are afraid to grow, afraid to scale because, and I used to think like this too. It's like, well, if I do, then this guy might mess up, whatever. But honestly, if you want to be the best at customer service, you have to hire. You have to have people in different departments that are specialists in that, because you can't be everywhere at once. And so as you scale, as you grow, you're actually providing a better level of customer service because it's not you in the business. You're just this magician orchestrating it and putting everyone in the right spot so that they are able to do that. And one thing you mentioned, it got us out of a lot of jams, because customer service doesn't mean you have a perfect business. No. It just means that when something does go wrong, you'll take care of it. And you're communicating to the client, hey, we really screwed this up. Here's what we're going to do to fix it. And a lot of times that's where you get your next client out of, because they're like, oh my gosh, these guys really screwed up bad, and they more than made up for it. If anyone's looking for this type of service, make sure to reach out to these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We always tell our customers, we are humans. Humans make mistakes. And just by that simple phrase, they're like, oh, well, I'm a human too. I get it. And it's like, how are you going to argue with that? It's like, hey, it was just a mistake. We'll fix it.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. So what about is there anything about the lighting industry, the lighting business, that you've learned so far? I know it's only been less than 6 months, but anything that you wish you would have known earlier?
So yeah, there's certain things we're getting into now, which is really big here in Florida, dealing with pool cages, pool cage lights, bistro lights. That bistro lights is this new real exciting thing that we're into that is just kind of taken off. It's here in Florida. Maybe it's like this where you are as well, but it's definitely like this in Florida. The weather's always nice. It's always pool weather. Everyone's always outside on their patios, their pools. And so, why not add lights to that? And so, I'm just now kind of transitioned into adding that to our lighting service, but I really have huge expectations for doing pool cage lighting, bistro lighting in 2022. And, that is definitely something I wish I would have started marketing that 4 months ago as well. Landscape lighting, as like the traditional landscape lighting where you got the up lights, path lights. That's great, but it's just like a niche within a niche, I guess.
Yeah. So just kind of getting into more of the specialty stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good feedback for me. I guess I'll start with teaching everyone all the advanced specialty lights.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, man. You have shared a lot of really valuable information. Thanks so much for being open and willing to share. I know somebody's listening, somebody's watching that's truly going to benefit from that. So thank you so much for that. What's the next step for you? You got what are the next steps for Xcellent Exteriors, and any big plans for this year? And I guess as a follow-up to the question that I haven't let you answer yet, are you going to then be, I know you already are kind of like out of the operator standpoint, but I guess, yeah, let's just kind of finish with that.
Yeah. So right now, if I had a role in the business, I'm definitely the owner, but I'm also like the general manager. And so very much how I bought the van for lighting, I went and bought a car for a general manager that I use. But that was also like another way I just motivate myself. It's like, I got this car. I really don't need this car, but I know my general manager will need this car. I just don't happen to have a general manager. And so that's like my next big move is to get a general manager in place. Because, I really just want to be that owner. I want to be the owner that's, I see an NFL game, you see Jerry Jones up in the press box, just watching his business work. And that's what I want to do. I mean, I really want to focus on the relationships, the company culture, marketing, definitely like marketing, but yeah, getting a general manager in that deals with all the day-to-day tasks. That is my big move for 2022.
I love that, man. All right. Well, I'm going to help hold you accountable to that. I know you're already really good at holding yourself accountable, and that's why you bought that car. Because it's like, hey, it's for my general manager. I'm like, who's your general manager? I don't know. He doesn't exist yet. So I love it, man. You're going to be an inspiration to many, and you're going to totally kill this business. You already are. So, well, thanks so much for being here, man. If anyone wants to get a hold of you, what's your website?
They can go to XcellentXteriors.com. It's there's no E in front of each word. It's X is the first letter of each word. Xcellent Xteriors.
Sounds good, man. Well, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate you, man.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Well, sounds good. All right, guys. Well, that was awesome. But stick around because I am going to finish up with my lighting tip of the week. And we're going to talk a little bit about some basketball. I don't know how I'm going to tie that in, but stick around. I'll be right back.
Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. The Weekend Review.
The Weekend Review.
Join King Darren and all of your favorite Turfs Up radio hosts, including Heculus, Eric, the Turf Teacher Jones, Brian.
My name is not Brian.
Ryan Lee, Wayne the Prophet Bowles,
One opportunity.
his son Daniel, Brooke Ford, the Green Veteran,
Giddy up.
and many more. Join us live as we unpack the week and share what you may have missed live on Turfs Up Radio. That's the Weekend Review, Saturdays, 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern, right here on Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, everybody. It's Brooke Ford, host of the Green Veteran here on Turfs Up Radio. Be sure to check me out every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. You're going to hear some great one-on-one interviews with green industry professionals. We're going to talk about best business practices, highlight innovative products, and also provide some insight into some new emerging technologies in the field. That's the Green Veteran, airing each Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Attention all pros. When you leave a deal with your clients, don't leave money on the table. Join Turfs Up Nation today and partner with pros all across the country who can help you make more money for your services that are related to your project. Landscapers need plumbers, and pool installers need hardscapers, and every combination in between. Turfs Up Nation is free. Your information is secure, and you'll be connected with other pros in the industry who want to do business with you. And not to mention property owners who need help with everything. If you think your clients don't need you and the connections you have, think again. Join TurfsUpNation.com today and start putting more money in your pocket for services you never knew you could. Just remember to sign up for this free service. Go to TurfsUpNation.com.
All right, we better end the show before I show off all my dance moves. Welcome back to Lighting for Profits, presented by Emory Allen. And, man, that was awesome. Ryan Edrington, I mean, gosh, it does kind of make me feel bad about myself because it took me like 10 years to what he has learned in like 4 months. So he's killing it. And I want to end the show with my lighting tip of the week. Recently it's been a lot of fun, actually. My daughter is into basketball. She made the middle school team, which was pretty cool. And she's starting to like sports and stuff. Like she goes to her friends. She went to like all their football games, and that was a lot of fun and stuff like that. And so I'll have a game on TV, and she'll start she'll watch a football game with me. She'll watch NBA, whatever. She's into sports now more than I am in terms of watching it, and she'll be like, hey, let's turn the game on. And so we're here in Utah, and we're Jazz fans, for better or for worse, we're Jazz fans. And so she always knows like who they're playing and what their schedule's like and who the players are and stuff like that. So it's been a lot of fun. It's always good when you have things that you can connect with your kids and you don't feel like you're having to drag them along to all your interests, and you're not feeling like you are forced to be involved with their interests. So we have mutual interest, which is awesome. So the other night we were watching a Jazz game, and the Jazz were playing horrible. And the team they were playing, I should have wrote it down because now I can't even remember what team. My daughter would know, but the team they were playing was not a very good team. Their record's worse than the Jazz. And of course, the Jazz were losing. They were playing bad. And the announcer made the comment, and you may have heard this in sports before, where she said, she talked about how the Jazz were playing to the level of their competition. They were not playing to their standard. Okay. The Jazz are doing well this year. Last year, they made it to the playoffs. They had the best, record in the NBA. And then they, of course, didn't even make it to the finals. But they ended up this game playing to the level of their competition. And they really were not living up to their potential. So you've seen that before when a really good team gets beat by a bad team. In fact, just the other night, it was the Golden State Warriors got their like 6th loss of the season. They had only lost not many games, but they lost to a team that they should have killed, And the reason I bring this up is I want to make sure you guys are playing to your standard. Okay. And if you don't know what your standard is, write it down, figure out what it is, come up with a standard, make sure that you have a standard and make sure it's high. Ryan mentioned customer service. That could be a huge differentiator in any business, in any market, even one where you think is saturated. I promise you can become better at customer service than your competition. And don't play to their level. And the reason I bring this up, another reason is, listen, on Facebook, we have social media, we have all these Facebook groups. Of course, we got landscape lighting groups and other business groups and stuff like that. I think I'm in like 30 groups. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I see a lot of people giving advice in these Facebook groups and on how they install lights, or how, if they do demos, or why you shouldn't do a demo, or why you should charge for this, why you shouldn't charge for that, or why you shouldn't even do a demo, or whatever it is, or if they do a walkthrough or not, why you shouldn't do a walkthrough, why you should. They sell their lights by their vision and not with fixtures, or maybe you sell them with the fixtures. Like, here's the thing. It's great that we have these groups because it does offer a lot of different options, but a lot of these people giving the advice are not superstars. Okay. You need to define your standard and rise up. Now, don't get offended if I just, insulted you. I said a lot of people are not superstars. You may be a superstar, but the people giving advice, do they have a track record of excellent customer service? Do they have a track record of getting to 7 figures in sales? Do they have a track record of being awesome at design? Like, just be careful who you're getting advice from, right? But it doesn't really matter about who you're getting advice from. I think it's great. You want to get advice in all these different ways of looking, different perspectives, but you need to define your own standard. You need to define your own and play to your level. Okay. Play to your standard, not to the level of your competition, because in a lot of cases, you might make the wrong decision. You might play down. You might not be doing things the way that you want to do them. So that is my advice. Okay. Stop playing to the level of your competition. Be you, be different, define your standard and play at that level every single day. Okay. And I love sports because there's so many parallels that you can draw from it. But you've seen that. You've seen when these teams play down to their competition and they end up losing because of it, right? And so don't let that happen to you. Be you, be different, define your standard. Sure, it's great to get different perspectives, but then try some things out, test it and come out with what's best for you. Because while I may say, yeah, when learning, you need to do a demo because it's going to help you with sales and it's going to help you learn whatever. Somebody else can be like, no, it's a waste of time. You should charge for demo. There isn't always a right or wrong. It's what's best for you, right? And just make sure that you have a defined standard and you're playing to that level instead of playing to the level of your competition. Don't worry about your competition. I mean, that's like the best advice I got years ago. Don't worry about them, because you're going to be you. You're going to be different. And if you think, well, my competition's only charging $200 a light, I can't charge 400. That's just not true, because you haven't defined your standard yet, right? So that's all I got for you guys. Thanks so much for your support. Really appreciate you guys showing up every single week, and hope you have a great week, and best of success to you. Don't forget, keep moving forward.